Hello there, this is BJ with Surfcoat. Today we're going to utilize our product called Surface Aid. We've got some age sealer that is delaminating on a stamped surface. We're going to use 1¼ nap roller to roll the Surface Aid into the surface for a couple minutes per section to redissolve and re-adhere that sealer to the surface and make it look like new again. That process is going to be done in 8-foot squares, 6 to 8 foot squares, 1 square at a time. It's going to dry in probably 10 or 15 minutes to where you could physically walk on it. I wouldn't drive on it for probably 12 hours just to be safe, depending on temperature. Today it's 85, 90 degrees, so this stuff's going to evaporate rapidly, so we're going to work in small areas and try to stay in the shade as best we can. Early in the morning is best so that the concrete's as cool as it can be and decrease the evaporation rate of the Surface Aid. You're just moving that roller forwards and backwards slowly in your 6 or 8 foot square, keeping the roller very wet and seeing the fluid on the surface. That Surface Aid is actually dissolving that sealer and remelting it kind of like it would be in the bucket when you first applied it. But we're bringing the existing sealer back to life and removing the hazy, fogging look that's currently evident on this surface. The roller is doing all of the work. You can use one hand on that roller. You're not pushing it down or squeezing it out. You're just moving it forwards and backwards. I often just pour a puddle and spread that puddle out, but you can put it into a pan and dip and roll and apply it as you need it. Again, keeping it very wet on the surface. Don't leave any large puddles. Try to pull the excess out of the mortar joints or the low areas in the slab, whatever kind of slab you're working. That's why I'm using an 1¼ nap so that it can help pick out and empty those valleys where a 3/8 nap would just roll on the peaks of this stamped surface. An 1¼ is going to get into those valleys real well and carry a lot of Surface Aid to help keep our surface wet while we do this. Early morning is best, cool concrete is best. Take your time, you're in no hurry. You're going to use probably a 5-gallon bucket for every 1,000 square feet, maybe 1,500 if you're lucky, but it also depends on the volume of sealer. On this surface, there's 3 to 4 layers of sealer over the past 3 to 4 years, from what we can tell or have been told. We've rolled the Surface Aid on this area here for a couple minutes, and it's softened the sealer. You can see that it's still real wet. And I'm taking my finger and I can take and push and plow up that sealer that's on the surface. That's actually molten sealer that's been redissolved by the Surface Aid, and you can see my brush even moves that around. That sealer that's now fluid or molten, not quite hard and not quite fluid like it would be in a bucket, but that's what the Surface Aid does. It redissolves it and allows it to stick back to the surface and dry normally and solve the hazy fogging effect from aged or delaminated sealer from sun or weather exposure. We did this area here yesterday with the Surface Aid over the delaminated sealer, aged sealer, and this is what it looks like. You got your gloss back, and it doesn't need any more sealer at this point because we've remelted and put the existing sealer back onto the surface. In some areas where you have high traffic areas, though, the sealer may have eroded or worn off over time, and if it comes out a little dull, then those areas need to be resealed again with one coat.